Welcome back. Let's talk about real estate investment. And we have in the studio a company that owns or finances income producing real estate, and that's Real Estate Investment Trust. We have in the house the managing director of Gold Bank Management Associates Limited, the lead issuing house, Mr. Abayomi Sonya. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
And also we have the managing director, FSDH Asset Management Limited, Mrs. Ulumayowa Ogunwemimo. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me start with you. Tell us about REIT.
Yeah, basically, REIT is an acronym. That's a Real Estate Investment Trust. It's an investment trust that consists mainly of real estate assets. You have a mutual trust, you have quite a number of assets embedded in that investment trust. But in this case, you have real estate assets and you have real estate related assets like a mortgage. You can also have it within the ambit of the investment trust. That's basically what REIT is all about. However, you also have different types of REITs. You have the equity REITs, which consist of real estate assets alone. You have the mortgage REITs, which consist of the mortgage elements. And you have what you call the hybrid, which consists the combination of equity and the mortgage in the same SPV. And that's what real estate investment trust is all about.
Okay, yeah. We'll still come to talk more about it, but let me ask Mrs. Ogunwemimo, what's the role of FSDH Asset Management in all of this?
Okay. FSDH Asset Management is the fund manager to the HMK REITs, and basically what we do, our responsibility is to manage the assets to ensure that they continue to generate income over the life of the investment and ensure that investors and the REITs get value for their money after investing it. So there's a trust deed that guides what is to be done, and the role of the fund manager is to ensure that whatever we have said we'll do in the trust deed, we abide by it. So we invest the assets, ensure that 90% of the income generated is paid to unit holders, and basically that's what the role of FSDH Asset Management is.
Okay, so for Mr. Sonya, how does it really work? You've mentioned equity rate, mortgage rate, hybrid. How do I come in, for instance?
Yeah, you can come in two sides. One, it's an instrument for the capital market. It's like shares, like are listed on the stock exchange. Now you can invest in that instrument, particularly the HMK REIT we're discussing about now, whereby you get a return. You will hear when she said she has to make sure that dividends are paid to the investors when it's been in fact invested. Now, having said that, the way you come in is for you to also invest in it, because you have access to an array of properties they have put together, that we have put together for you to actually invest in. And the return is like a rent that you get normally back to you as a dividend by the time you invest in this instrument. That's the way you come in. Yeah, maybe Maya wants to.
Okay, just to break it down to layman's terms, a real estate investment trust is really putting different properties into one pool. So, for instance, this HMK REIT, there are residential properties in GRA, there's an office block in GRA, and all of that is going to put together in one basket. Yeah. And the fund manager manages that basket of assets and ensures that whenever rent is paid, in this case, where rent is paid, all that money is collated, and at the end of the year, it's then distributed to investors. So what it does is that it allows individuals, companies, different investors generate returns from real estate assets. So you can earn rent without necessarily owning the entire block, because you invest in that pool, and then the pool invests in the assets.
Okay, let me see if I can help break this down a little bit further. Yeah. The asset manager wants to get assets, or wants to pool together real estate.
Yes.
So he tells 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, who want to pull together an estate. So about 6 people bring money together, put it together,
yes.
And then the asset manager puts out that house for rent or for sale, and whatever comes is shared amongst those 6 investors. So that's how you run.
Exactly.
Does the investor have any rights or have any say in the kind and location of the property you want to put together?
No, because the trust deed has already stated from day one the sort of assets that will be put together in the pool. Yeah. So what guides those investments are the trust is the trust deed. Okay. And there's another party called the trustees who ensures that the fund manager does exactly what is in the trust deed. So from day one, the trust deed, the prospectus would have stated the sort of assets that will be in the pool. So while the individual investor can't say, oh, I want a particular block of flats on Okwabi to be put in the asset, the trust deed has stated the sort of assets that can be put there. So you know what sort of assets can be bought in, but you can't say, oh, I want a particular asset put into the pool.
Okay, what's the dividend yield if I invest my, for instance, my 1 million naira? What will I get in return?
Right now, the dividend yield is a little bit low. Why? Because at the beginning, the rental yield is also low. So it is what you get from the rent that you pay out to the individuals who invest. So for now, I think we have about 8.9%.
Now, the average about the first 5 years is 9.5% over the first 5 years of the investment, and that basically is that's the average dividend yield. The average earnings yield is a little higher; it's in excess of 10. But the average dividend yield is 9.5%. But really, what we compare that to really are similar investments in the equities market, because that dividend yield is way higher than what you get on the regular stocks that.
Okay, the HMK REIT, is it in any way different from other REITs that have been floated in the Nigerian market?
No, it's not. It's not different from UPDC REITs and maybe the Union Homes REIT is different because it combines both the it combines both the mortgage and the equity REITs together. So it's an hybrid REIT. But in this case, you have the equity REITs, which is different from Union Home REITs as well. What else do I have to tell you?
Okay, let's talk about, when you invest, you want your money safe, your investment safe. What plans do you have in place to make sure that for everyone that's dropping a penny, a kobo, how safe with this investment?
Brilliant. It's safe in the sense that the structure that was put in place also brings in the insurance company who guarantees or who somehow have insurance on those properties that are being put together. That's number one. Number two is that there's a sort of guarantee in terms of the renter value, a certain percentage, which says, okay, over this period, at least you are sure of getting about 76% return in terms of the rental value that comes in. Should the risk of rental flow crystallizes, excuse me. So that is being put in place. Then the way it's being also structured, the diversification will not allow such even risk to crystallize. And that way it guarantees the investor a sort of security, a sort of constant returns. You may talk about. It guarantees that, look, you can go and sleep. And again, it guarantees that because of the experience of FSDH asset managers, they understand what it is, at least in this country I can say that they are one of the best asset managers who understand that particular subject in terms of the real estate investment trust and what it entails, what you need to put in place. So to that extent, it gives you a kind of sleep as an investor to actually look at. Now, having said that as well, I like to put in this, that it's also a good instrument to balance portfolio managers' portfolio. And that was not there during the times of the bubble that burst in the 2008 and 2000. We don't have this kind of an instrument there. Otherwise, it's a very good instrument whereby you could use to also do a kind of shock absorber, they call it, when you arrange your portfolio. So you can't have a crash totally, and everybody will say, no, this market is not good. It's something that you can also fall back on.
But what's the benefit of this above direct investment in real estate?
I guess what comes to mind easily, there are two main benefits. The liquidity and the fact that the initial cash outlay that is required to buy direct real estate. So I'll just give a classic example. If you want to buy an average block of flats, or even one flat in Ikeja GRA, you will have nothing less than 50 to 60 million, and those are modest prices. To invest in the HMK rates, all you require is 50,000, thereabout. So, because what you're doing is you're not investing in the entire block of flats, you're investing in a portion of it because it's being unitized. So what it does is that it allows investors to benefit from real estate investment without necessarily having to have that huge capital outlay that is required for you to invest in real estate. And then on the flip side, in the event you want to exit a real estate investment, if you want to sell one property, there is the time that it takes to sell. Because just as it's not easy to get into it, it's also not easy to get out of it, direct investment in real estate. And that's what a real estate investment trust allows you to do. Because you can easily sell those units on the floor of the exchange, just as you sell your shares. Those units can also be easily sold, so that there's ease of entry and ease of exit. Also, in terms of diversification, a real estate investment trust allows you to invest in a number of properties at the same time. So anyone who invests with even as little as a 50,000 minimum investment that is required, in the case of the HMK REIT, you're owning blocks of flats in Ikeja GRA, you're owning an office block in Ikeja GRA, you're owning a portion of a block of flats in Ikoyi, all with this 50,000 naira investment, because you're owning, it's been unitized, so you're owning portions of it. If you were to have direct investment in those real estate assets across these different sectors of the real estate industry, your pocket must be extremely
So with my
deep.
50,000, I own part of two properties in Ikeja GRA.
No, 2 residential properties in Ikeja GRA,
Okay.
1 office block in Ikeja GRA,
And then
2 hotels in Ikeja GRA, and a residential property in Ikoyi.
With my 50,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the 50,000 is the minimum.
Yes.
So if I could
Because I
do-
see you have the equity rate, you have the mortgage rate. What's the difference?
The HMK REIT is an equity REIT. An equity REIT invests only in real estate assets. A mortgage REIT invests in mortgages. So what's the underlying assets in a mortgage REIT would be, I gave him a loan to buy a house, but I'm investing in the loan. So basically my return from the loan, my return on that investment would be the interest he pays. The return on an equity REIT will be the rental income that the tenant in that property pays. So yes, you get higher returns on mortgage rates, but the risks are also higher because there's a risk of him defaulting on the loan, whereby you lose the principal and the interest. The risk on the equity REIT is much lower because the risk is if the house gets engulfed in fire and burns down, you have an insurance that covers that, unless there's a force majeure and really the entire nation goes upside down.
And
so
the hybrid?
The hybrid is a mixture of the two. So it's really just balancing the two. So you have some element of mortgages, some element of brick and mortar real estate assets. So.
Mr. Sawyer, we're almost out of time here, but let's see, how do you see the property investment scene in Nigeria vis-a-vis the increasing inflation rates and the recent devaluing of the naira? So how would all that tie into this?
Right, for me, investment in real estate will always be real and will always be very consistent. As a matter of fact, real estate investment allows you to hedge against inflation, against devaluation, because like I said, the assets are real and it's not going anywhere. It's something that you can see. Now, whichever way the economy moves into, the real estate sector will still maintain his cool and the real value will still be there. So I don't see anything that's going to affect the real estate sector negatively. Rather, maybe the cost of building those real estate at this point because of the devaluation will be more.
Sorry, how do we get involved?
Yes.
Those interested
like
in this.
If I'm interested in investing, where should I go? What should I do?
For those interested in investing, they have application forms online. On the website of the REITs is www.hmkrates.com. You have application forms that can be downloaded and filled on those websites. There are also a number of issuing houses who are also participating in this. You can visit their offices. GMA is one of those issuing houses. You can visit the office of the fund manager. We also have the information on our website. That's www.fsdhaml.com. Visit our offices, and basically there's also some more information on the pages of the newspapers where people can easily get information on where they can get the forms. Almost all the banks in Nigeria are receiving agents, so you can walk into any banking hall and ask for questions on the forms and all.
Stockbrokers as well.
Yeah, stockbrokers as well are also receiving agents. So speak to any stockbroker and they will give you information on getting the forms, application forms. Those forms can be filled and submitted to the stockbrokers as well.
Okay, so the one I can do right away is www.hmkrates.com.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. We've been speaking with the Managing Director of FSDH Asset Management Limited, Mrs. Olumayowa Ogunwemimo. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
And also the MD of Gold Bank Management Associates Limited, the lead issuing house, Mr. Abayomi Sonya. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we just go on another break, and this should be the final one on the home stretch. Stay with us on Sunrise.